You know that feeling on payday when the money hits your bank account and suddenly you feel totally rich? But then, like 2 or 3 days later, you're right back where you started? Well, for years, that was me too. I was a full-blown shopaholic on top of being stuck in over $120,000 of student loan debt that I had no idea how I was going to pay off. No matter how much money I made, every single payday I was still left feeling like a broke hot mess. But once I built an actual payday routine and system around my money, everything changed. Because this exact payday routine that I'm about to show you not only helped me pay off the remainders of my debt in under 2.5 years, it also helped me build a multi-six-figure portfolio on autopilot, even though I started investing late in life. And I even learned how to spend my money on the things I actually want without sending myself into an overspending spiral. So let's get into my actual payday routine with real numbers from my own bank account. Because if I'm gonna be so for real here, if you don't have a system around your money, it's going to be really hard to build real wealth. So let's get started. Okay, so listen, the first thing you have to do on payday actually has absolutely nothing to do with money. Before we get into spending, saving, paying off debt, and even spending some fun money, you need to start with your mindset. And this was the most difficult mindset shift for me, but it's you need to stop acting rich after payday. I know, I get it. Every time I get paid, even to this day, I feel rich too. I want to treat myself, I want to go shopping, I want to spend money on food. I totally get it. You worked hard for your money, and yeah, you deserve it. But listen.
I rarely say this to people who aren't me, but you have got to calm down.
We will absolutely get to that. There is room in this routine to treat yourself. But the problem is that most people end up doing this backwards, and I did this for years. So you need to start treating your paydays a little bit more strategically. As soon as that money lands in your checking account, that's when it can start branching off into the different categories where your money needs to go. And for me, that web branches out into 5 different categories: needs, wants, future you, goals, and debt. But here's the step and mindset shift that most people miss. After payday, most people end up doing things like covering their bills, credit card bills, and then whatever's left over, you treat yourself, you get the Uber Eats, you go to Sephora, you have some fun. Totally get it. And you do that with the mindset of, whatever's left over, that's what I'm gonna save. But it never really ends up happening, does it? And I know this because that was exactly me for years. So all you have to do here is just change the order. So let's start with where your money should go first, and that's on needs. All right, so a couple of paychecks have landed in my account. When it comes to money that lands into my own personal account, I make money from 2 places. One is through a regular paycheck from my job as a pharmacist. I get paid every 2 weeks and I work part-time. And once a month, I pay myself a salary from my content creation business. And this month, I also have a rollover buffer of $1,000 in cash sitting in my checking account. So the money that I actually have to spend right now is close to $7,900. And this is money that I am so grateful to have. A lot of this I would not have if it wasn't for you, and that does not go unnoticed or unrecognized. I think about that every single day. At the same time, I really don't want to play it small with money anymore. I worked really hard to earn it, and I also think that when people share their income and share how they spend their money, it really can kind of just show you what's possible. And I truly believe that if you can't manage something like $2,000, then you're not going to be able to manage 20, 30, 40, 50, up to $200,000 and even more than that. It's really about the money systems, routines, and the money mindset that you build. And whenever I see somebody online who ends up making more than me, it just makes me kind of realize that that's possible. And if anything, I find it more motivating than anything else. I just wanted to say that. But listen, every time this money lands into my account, I think the same thing every month. Woohoo, I am rich. Let's go spend some money. But no, we gotta dial it back for a second. So let's cover needs first, because you gotta eat, you gotta keep the lights on, and you gotta get to work. So I'm covering my half of the rent here. Electricity, this is gonna be an estimate, but I'm gonna estimate, let's say $30 because it's split. We have to pay for water now, and I really don't know how much it's gonna be, so I'm gonna do $30 for that part of the budget. Car insurance, we split down the middle, so I pay $114. Apartment insurance also split down the middle. And I will pay for my phone bill because that is a regular bill that just comes off automatically. And on my budgeting template, things like groceries, gas, and transit, The amount changes every single month, so I actually keep it under my variable expenses category, but I'm still going to be budgeting for that first because we need to eat. I'm gonna budget $600 for groceries this month. I feel like the cost of food is just going up. Same with gas. I'm gonna budget $120, and I also take transit to work, so I'm gonna be budgeting $75 for that. Now, before we get into the next step of the routine, you might be wondering how much of your paycheck should be going to things like needs. Because I will say if 80 or 90% of your paycheck is being eaten up just by the bare necessities, then it's going to feel really difficult to do these next steps in the payday routine. But a really nice starting framework is something called the 50-30-20 rule, where the recommendation is to allocate 50% of your budget to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to things like savings, investments, and debt payoff. And in 2026, this might work if you live in like a low cost of living area, but I feel like nowadays that's really difficult for most people. So I wouldn't feel bad if you need to adjust your budget to something like 60-20-20 or even 70-20-10 to really account for things like the cost of living, and if you live in a high cost of living area like Toronto, San Francisco, Los Angeles, or New York. The way to think about this is that it's just a nice framework to kind of get an idea of exactly where your money is going and by how much. And if you potentially need to make adjustments like cutting back on your lifestyle or finding ways to increase your income to really make that budget feel less squeezed. So that's about $2,300 that I have spent on needs. So let's go on to the next step of the payday routine, and that is paying for future you. Okay, so listen, you've probably heard the term pay yourself first a million times on the internet, and you've probably heard it a million times from me, and yeah, I believe in it. But I think what most people think about paying yourself first is like, oh, okay, so you're saying that I need to be investing in my retirement before I pay my rent? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Pay yourself first to me means that you're allocating money for your future self before you allocate that money to wants. Most people do the opposite, and that's why saving and investing and meeting your savings goals never ever happens. But if you do the steps in this order, it means you actually are gonna meet these goals. So I consider any savings for my future self anything like my emergency fund, which you should try to eventually build up to a 3 to 6 month emergency fund of living expenses. And this is just to make sure that you're covered if anything happens, like you lose a job, a medical event happens. It's something that you eventually build up to create a buffer between you and life. If 3 to 6 months sounds way too daunting, then I would just start with a smaller goal of 1 month of living expenses, just to give yourself a little bit of breathing room. This is all really about tiny but consistent habits that you can build over time. So if all you can find is $20, $50 in your budget, put it there because it's better than nothing, and you're going to see that money grow over time when you're consistent. In my Future Me Fund, I'm very fortunate to have my emergency fund fully funded. It's one of the first things I did when I paid off my debt 5 years ago, so I am going to actually not be budgeting any money there. But I do have some other Future Me savings here on automation. So the first thing is I'm adding $300 into my car repair fund. I also budget $200 a month to go into a health fund if I need to pay for things like the dentist, massage, things like that. And if you're just starting out here, the #1 version of your Future You fund should be your emergency fund. So if you're just getting started, then that's where I would start. But the other version of Future You that I'm really thinking about is retirement. So for me, I'm really focused on contributing to things like my RRSP. I've maxed out a couple of other accounts this year already, so I'm also going to be focusing on some non-taxable investing. So I'm going to be budgeting $500 to go into my RRSP, TFSA, and FHSA I have maxed out. And I actually have a goal of investing $2,000 into my taxable investment account this month. So that's where we're gonna put this money. But before we go any further into the payday routine, speaking of payday, I just wanna take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Incogni. It feels like every single time I buy something online, I am immediately spammed with a bunch of junk text messages and emails from scammers. And I feel like these scams are getting more and more sophisticated if you're not looking. I feel like I'm constantly texting my parents about the latest scam to protect them. And I always kind of wondered how these scammers end up getting your phone number and your email. And it's because your data is sold to brokers online. But that's exactly where Incogni comes in. They track down your personal information and data from multiple sites, including online directories, online searches, and even customer databases. Once you sign up, all you need to do is enter a bit of basic information about yourself, and literally within the first 3 seconds of running it, Incogni already requested 37 removal requests of my data. It's fully automated, and Incogni will do this for you in the background because your data can be sold repeatedly and show up back online after time. And if you're really serious about your privacy, there's even a custom data removal feature. So if you're sick of the scammers and you're serious about your privacy online, then definitely check out Incogni. If you use my link below and use the code Christina at checkout, you can get 60% off your Incogni annual plan. Thanks, Incogni. This next step in the payday routine is really going to depend on you and your situation. If you have any debt that you are working on paying off, then that's when I would start allocating any money you potentially have left over towards debt. And if you are working on paying off debt, then the one thing I will say is that your wants and your fun category spending in your budget might have to be lowered temporarily. But the beautiful thing about that is that if you do make those sacrifices, once you've actually paid off your debt, now all of a sudden you have all of this money freed up to either invest more into your future you fund or to have fun with on your wants. So in my payday routine, the step of paying towards goals is actually automated. So I'm going to be doing that next. I deliberately put these in high interest savings accounts that are separate from my bank, purely because I need that little bit of added friction so that I just don't dip into these accounts and spend them willy-nilly. The other thing I do here is I have these withdrawals automated, so I'm funding them without even thinking about it. And I really do encourage you to automate as much as you can here in your budget, because the less interference that you have with your money, the more likely that that money is going to go where you said you wanted it to. And you'd be surprised how fast it adds up. In my fun money fund, I have another $300 automatically going there, and I have $300 going into my travel fund automatically. So now we've got about $2,400 left to work with. Now I'm getting to the fun part. Now we are getting to our wants. This is the cool thing about budgeting and having a payday routine, is because now I get to spend this money guilt-free. I can spend it on whatever I want. I don't have to feel bad about it because I've paid my future self, I've covered my living expenses, and I've even put money towards my savings goals. So yeah, if I want to get my nails done, I'm going to. So this is exactly how you can enjoy your money guilt-free while still reaching your other financial goals. But if you do this without a plan, that's when it starts to feel like a mess. So I'm going to budget $120 for eating out. This month I'm going $100 towards charity, my nails, $75. I have increased my gym budget because I started doing one-on-one personal training. So I'm going to be, sorry, that's how much I'm budgeting this month. But guess what? Guilt-free, that's one of my money dials. Gifts, there's no birthdays or anything I'm dealing with this month. Coffee shops, let's go $75. Shopping, we're moving, so I gotta lower the shopping budget this month. Let's just go $200. I have nothing for personal care planned. I always like to do a $250 buffer in case I go over in any of these other categories. Home stuff, we are moving, so let's budget a little bit more there. I'm budgeting $300. And I still got $574 left over, so I'm just gonna slap that right into my down payment fund. And that's exactly how I budget my paychecks every single month. And basically what happens is, as that money comes into my account, that's when it starts getting funneled out to all of my other accounts automatically, so that things that I need to get paid for are paid, and so that my savings and investment goals happen on autopilot, and so that I can also live my life and have a little bit of fun. This is exactly what it means to be intentional with your money and have a plan. Let me know what your payday routine is down below in the comments. And if you want a deeper dive of exactly how I budget with real numbers from my own bank account, then you can watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.